From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Tonight, bandits abduct many students from Islamia School in Rafi local government area of Niger State. Gunmen kill APC chieftain Ahmed Gulak as attacks on federal government facilities continue in Imo and Abia states. Southern and Middle Belt leaders insist on total restructuring. They say presidency must return to the South in 2023. And River State Governor commemorates 6th anniversary in office, says he has not endorsed any successor ahead of 2023 polls. Attacks and kidnappings across the country continue today, with Niger State taking the lead. Many students of an Islamic school were abducted in a community near Kagara, and this story has again put security operatives on their toes. But it's not just in Niger State. Gunmen also continued attacks and arson against police officers and their facilities in Imo and Abia states. Some lives, including that of the gunmen, were lost in these attacks. A top politician in the ruling APC, Ahmed Gulak, was also killed by gunmen today in Imo State as he was driving out of Owerri, the state capital, to catch a flight. These brazen attacks have again put the security situation in the country under the spotlight, and we begin from Niger State. And that's because barely 24 hours after 14 students of the Greenfield University in Kaduna State were released, the dreaded gunmen have yet again abducted many students from an Islamia school, this time in Tegina, a community in Rafi local government area of Niger State. One person is said to have been shot dead during the attack, while another was critically injured. The Islamic school is located less than 10 kilometers away from the Government Science College, Kagara, where 27 students and 7 others were abducted in February this year. The Secretary to the Niger State government, Ahmed Matane, said in a statement, "Yes, there was an attack at the Islamia school, but we do not have the exact number of students that were abducted. We are in touch with parents in the area to know those whose children were abducted." The SSG adds that while the attack on Tegina was going on, there were also attacks in Lavon local government area and some fringes of Mashigu local government area. He explains that the state government, in collaboration with security agencies, have mobilized troops to the various areas, including local vigilante. Although details of the attacks are still sketchy, Channels Television has gathered that the Islamia school is not the usual Sangaya boarding Islamic school, but a conventional one where parents send their children to on a daily basis for the purpose of acquiring Islamic education. From Niger State to Abia State, where a facility of State Police CID and the headquarters of the Immigration Service have been attacked by gunmen. Some sections of both facilities were burnt by the gunmen, while the police say the attack killed at least 5 of the assailants. The state government has condemned the attack, while police say they're on the trail of the assailants.
The Abia State Police Criminal Investigation Department in Umuahia and the Nigeria Immigration Services State Headquarters in Ubakala are the latest facilities to come under attack in the southeast. The gunmen raised the building and killed 2 police inspectors during the exchange of gunfire. The police also killed some of the attackers and recovered 2 vehicles from them. Cameras returned to the state. Now the police are on the lookout for some of the suspects whom they say escaped with gunshot wounds.
The armed men were engaged by the men on duty, and reinforcement from the state headquarters ambushed the hoodlums, and in the course of exchanging firing, 8 of the hoodlums got neutralized. 2 vehicles were recovered, while some escaped with bullet wounds. The building was razed down in the inferno. The suspects in the cells were released, but no firearms were carted away.
The state governor has also reacted to the attack.
We had predicted that could happen, and we have been on the watch out since the past 2-3 weeks now. You recall that we declared a curfew when they broke the jail at Owerri. We knew that we were going to have 1,800 criminals within the Southeast region, and that's a handsome number. Abia has been relatively quiet until yesterday, which was quite serious. But I was also meant to understand that there were casualties on both sides. 2 police officers were gone down, and the police is also claiming that about 8 of those individuals were also gone down in the incident.
Many government facilities have been attacked in the southeast region in recent times. This latest incident brings attacks on police stations in Abia State alone to 4 in the month of May and 7 in 3 months.
Now, a similar incident also happened in Imo State, where the newly completed office of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, was set ablaze at Okudo community in Najaba local government area of Imo State. INEC officials say the office was built and commissioned shortly before the 2019 general election. Although no life was lost, the building was substantially burnt down, along with electoral materials, office equipment and furniture. The latest incident has been reported to the police for investigation. This attack is coming exactly a week after the INEC office in Ahia-Zumbise local government area of the state was vandalized. The total number of INEC offices attacked nationwide since 2019 has now risen to 42. And staying in Imo State, a chieftain of the ruling All Progressives Congress, who was also a former aide to former President Goodluck Jonathan, Mr. Ahmed Gulak, has been killed by gunmen. Mr. Gulak was shot dead along Sambakwe Airport Road in Ngopala, local government area of Imo State. According to the state police spokesperson, Bala Elkanah, Mr. Gulak left his hotel room to catch a flight when he was attacked by 6 bandits who killed him. Mr. Elkanah explains that the APC chieftain left for the airport without informing the police or other security agencies to provide escort, given the fragile security situation in the country, or in the state, beg your pardon. He adds that the police have started investigation into the matter as tactical and special forces have been deployed to cordon the area and arrest the perpetrators. Meanwhile, the president has expressed outrage and disgust over what he called the heinous murder of the Adamawa politician Ahmed Gulak in Owerri. The president said in a statement he is repulsed by such premeditated and gruesome murder of Gulak by evil people who are determined to undermine the peace, unity, and territorial integrity of our country. He adds that he will deploy all resources at government's disposal to ensure that such callous and criminal elements who carried out the act are brought to justice. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has also postponed its public hearing on the Constitution Amendment in Imo and in Anambra states to a later date. And in Nasarawa State, lawmaker representing Nasarawa Central constituency at the State House of Assembly, Ismail Dambaba, has been kidnapped. The chairman of the House Committee on Information, Muhammad Omadefu, told Channels Television that Mr. Dambaba was kidnapped along Sanga Forest in Sanga local government area of Kaduna State while he was on his way to Jos for a workshop. He adds the abductors have made contacts and negotiations for his release are ongoing. In the meantime, the Nigerian army is restating its commitment to tackling security challenges in various parts of the country. The general officer commanding 1 Mechanized Division of the Nigerian Army, Major General Danjuma Ali Kefi, says over 6,000 soldiers have been recruited into the force to shore up its manpower and confront bandits, terrorists, the indigenous people of Biafra, and other criminal elements that are threatening the peace and unity of the country. At the passing out parade of the 80 regular recruits intake at the Nigerian Army Depot, Zaria in Kaduna State, General Ali Kefi said the Nigerian military would not rest on its oars until the entire country is safe.
We will not rest on our oars until this country is safe for all of us. To you, the passing out recruits, accept my heartfelt congratulations for your successful completion of initial training at this institution. I equally welcome you to the Nigerian Army, where a lot will be required from you in terms of loyalty, selfless service, courage, discipline, integrity, and respect for others, which are the core values of the Nigerian Army. You are expected to always do your utmost best in order to sustain these values through high professional standards in order to enhance your individual ability and our collective cohesion.
And more conversations are ongoing concerning Nigeria's nationhood, the latest coming from leaders of the southern region and the Middle Belt. They demanded the presidency be zoned to the south in 2023 in the overall interest of Nigeria as a united country. The leader of the group, Chief Edwin Clark, also describes the ongoing constitutional amendment exercise by the National Assembly as fraudulent.
The leader of leaders. My brother.
Leaders from the south, east, west, and middle belt regions of Nigeria converge in Abuja to discuss issues affecting the nation and preparations towards the 2023 general elections. A minute of silence each is observed for the late Yinka Odumakin and the late Chief of Army Staff, as well as 10 others who lost their lives in the ill-fated plane crash in Kaduna State.
May their souls rest in perfect peace.
Speaking on different issues, the leader of the group insists it is time for the South to produce the next president.
The South will be ready to have the next president. Without that, no Nigeria. So the purpose of this meeting today, one, we want restructuring of Nigeria. If we have to be, there's to be a Nigerian to continue. Number two, we want the zoning to continue. It is conventional. When the Constitution did not provide for a succession, when Yar'Adua died, was ill, convention was adopted.
The group also insists that the president must dialogue with the people, as no tribe is superior to others.
Mr. President is not an emperor. Mr. President is not a king. Mr. President is not a monarch. Mr. President is a politician. It should come out to meet those of us who have been serving this country when he was an ordinary soldier. This country belongs to all of us. The North alone cannot rule this country. The South alone cannot rule this country.
In a communique issued after the meeting, which held behind closed doors, the group warns that if the security situation is not dealt with, holding general elections in 2023 may be a mirage.
The meeting emphasizes that if the security situation is not dealt with and banditry stopped or reduced to a barest minimum, it would not be reasonable to have It will not be feasible to have proper elections in 2023. The meeting insists that cattle rearing is a generally private business enterprise. As such, the federal government should avoid committing state and federal resources to promote any particular business beyond providing the enabling environment in the performance of its regulatory roles.
As the race towards 2023 begins, the group enjoins political leaders from these regions not to be lured into taking other positions, but ensure that the presidency moves to the south in 2023.
In part two, after the break, 90 more bodies of passengers from Kebbi boat mishap recovered from the river Niger. Plus, we'll look at the implications of the unending attacks on INEC facilities in some states across the country. Our data analyst, Babajide Ogunsanwo, will be our guide. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us to watching the news at 10, coming to you live from Channels TV Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Bandits abduct many students from Islamia School in Rafi local government area of Niger State. Gunmen kill APC chieftain Ahmed Gulak as attacks on federal government facilities continue in Imo and Abia states. Southern and Middle Belt leaders insist on total restructuring. They say presidency must return to the South in 2023. And Rivers State Governor commemorates 6th anniversary in office, says he's not endorsed any successor ahead of the 2023 polls. Gunmen have attacked youth gathered at the Ibori compound in Ohara area of Delta State, where they destroyed vehicles and other property worth millions of naira. There was tension in the area earlier today as a meeting aimed at settling the rifts among youths of Otefe Ohara community was attacked, leaving about 9 cars and other property in the compound destroyed. The meeting was set to commence when gunmen stormed into the Ibori family compound, shooting sporadically, while people, including the honorable member representing Etiop West constituency, Honorable Eriatake Ibori Swenu, who was in attendance, scampered for safety. Police Public Relations Officer Bright Edafe confirmed this to our correspondent, adding that the hoodlums also marched to the local government secretariat, destroying cars and property. Staying with security, the Taraba State Governor Darius Ishaku says Nigeria is sliding into anarchy with the current insecurity bedeviling the nation. According to him, the inability of the country's military to flush out insurgents within its territory is a major challenge. He also re-echoed his stand for constitutional review and state policing, without which he says democracy is still surcharged in Nigeria.
The constitution has been surcharged. Where we copied this constitution, US, America, that it is written there is a local police, state police, federal police, and they complement each other. Where the local police can't, the state police moving. Where the state police can't, the federal police moving. They never brings their military to any situation in US. Their military goes for war externally. But you see here, the vital component of the state police is removed. I'm called executive governor. Executive on what? If I cannot implement the decision I take with the troops under my command. So the state police is imperative, is necessary, it must come to stay. Without the state police, we're still surcharging the democracy. It won't work. And it has revealed itself now. Across the country there is insecurity. How can the federal might go all over in search of nooks and corners to put security? It's impossible. It will not work. The sooner the state police is enacted, the better for every one of us.
Massive involvement of local intelligence networks is critical to defeating any insurgency. That's one of the strategies that must now be brought to the fore. The view of the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, Dr. Garba Abari. Dr. Abari told Channels Television's Ladi Akeredulale on our current affairs program, Newsnight, that in addition, superior firepower must be brought to bear.
What do we need to do? One, superior firepower. I have seen it happen. How the ISIS, for example, was combated. So in the case of Boko Haram, this. In the case of the bandits in the southwest, superior firepower. One. Two, massive involvement of local intelligence at community level, and assigning responsibilities to people that are at the last level of responsibility in the hierarchy. When you hear 300 people, students kidnapped, and they have traveled 50, 70 kilometers, and that no one had even seen them, it tells you that there is a missing link in our intelligence gathering. And the intelligence gathering can come in two ways. One, deployment of modern technology, superior firepower, local intelligence gatherings through holding to account responsibility bearers. These three things are the things that we need.
You can watch the full interview with Dr. Barry on Newsnight. It airs tomorrow, Monday, May 31st at 9 p.m. right here on Channels Television. 42 is the number of attacks on officers of the Independent National Electoral Commission. These attacks happened between the 2019 general election and today. To share insights about the who, the what, the how of these attacks is Babajide Ogunsanwo, data scientist and information consultant here at Channels Television. Great to see you.
Good evening.
I'm still scribbling away, I see. So, shall we begin? You ready? So, we've seen attacks on a school, on a politician, on government-owned assets, on INEC. Are there new facts about what's going on?
Yes, there are new facts, but there are facts. We've seen fake news, we've seen good news, we've seen bad news. I'd like to start with clarifying one fake news that really came out this week, and there was something that went viral that described Nigeria as a failed state. That is fake news. And that's because according to the Fragile States Index, which looks at the fragility of 179 countries, that report does not classify Nigeria as a failed state. Within that report, that looks at 179 countries, that report also looks at the state of fragility across all the 54 countries in Africa, and the report shows that every country in Africa has a yellow light, a warning signal, excluding Botswana. So in summary, there are good governance and development challenges in every state in Africa, and Nigeria is not excluded. That is the fact. Nigeria is not a failed state. But what is the truth? The truth is 4.5 dozen years ago, exactly on this day, Biafra was proclaimed. And so we see a lot of agitation based on groups that say they've been treated unfairly, they've been marginalized, and they are calling for all sort of divisions and divisive politics. That is what we see as the situation today. There are lots of fake news, which is Nigeria as a failed state. That is fake news. Good governance and development challenges in Africa. That is the truth. Bad news, we've seen 41 attacks today, making 42 on INEC facilities. And later tonight, we'll look at exactly why these attacks have happened, what insights and what does INEC need to know about the patterns of these attacks.
What's the good news today?
Now, the good news is that the elections are coming in another 6 months in Anambra State. And if we take a look at the sort of elections that have taken place even before Anambra, and if we focus on pre-election facts, we've seen elections happen in Kogi, we've seen elections happen in Bayelsa, we've seen elections happen in Edo State and Ondo State. All the governorship elections that INEC has conducted, none of these governorship elections has taken place in the Southeast. In November, the first governorship election post the 2019 governorship election will happen in the Southeast. That is some good news. In Ekiti next year, we'll see an election in July, and in Osun, governorship elections expected in September. Well, I'd like to also focus a bit on what exactly should we expect from Anambra, and then we'll look at the trends and patterns of attacks on INEC offices.
Yeah, because given the rate at which, these attacks are going, what are you seeing? How the elections will be conducted? Peacefully, or do we have reason to worry?
There's some reason to worry, especially with elections coming up in Anambra. The first is Anambra is the most populated state in the Southeast. The second is unemployment and underemployment and youths that have nothing to do is among the highest rates in the Southeast. 1.3 million young Nigerians living in Anambra State are either unemployed or underemployed. Prior to the severity of attacks that we've seen, the last governorship election that happened in Anambra State, we saw a significantly low voter turnout. And even then, we didn't see this sort of violence. The last governorship election, 26% of those, only 26% of those that were eligible, that registered to vote, turned out on election day to vote. So we see a bit of good news, which is, for the first time, the Southeast will be having a governorship election conducted post-2019 election. Bad news, high unemployment, unemployment, and those that have nothing to do. And prior to now, there's been really a lot of low voter turnout in Anambra State.
Wow. Then what does research reveal then about these attacks on INEC institutions? And, what then should INEC know and do, and what should ordinary citizens like us know and do?
And that's where I want us to place a bit of emphasis on tonight, really understanding the patterns that INEC revealed, that number of attacks that have happened between February 2019 and the 24th of May this year. 41 attacks tonight, 42. So let's focus on 41. And if we focus on those 41 attacks, here's what you'll notice. First is 9 attacks happened in 2019. 21 attacks happened in 2020, and we are yet to get to the we're just yet to get to the middle of this year, and we've already seen 11 attacks. I repeat, in 2019, 9 attacks on INEC offices. 2020, 21 attacks. 2021, 11 attacks so far. That is the first fact Nigerians need to know. The second is a careful analysis of what days do these attacks happen. Shows that most attacks on INEC offices happen on Saturday, followed by Sunday. In other words, 60% of all attacks on INEC's offices since 2019 to date, 60% of those attacks happen on Saturday and Sunday.
So there is a pattern.
There is a pattern. No attack has happened on an INEC office on a Monday. Another interesting fact is the top 3 states that have had the highest number of attacks, which we'll say in gold, silver, and bronze, Imo State. In Imo State, we've seen 7 attacks. 3 of these attacks happened in 2019. Another 3 attacks happened in 2020, and we've seen 1 attack this year. What is going on in Osun State? In Osun State, we've seen 6 attacks, if you look at that row. Out of these 6 attacks, 5 of these attacks happened last year during October, during the EndSARS protest, and another attack happened in 2019. What about Akwa Ibom, the state that has had the 3rd highest number of attacks? In Akwa Ibom, some sort of relative good news compared to Imo and Osun, and that's because for Akwa Ibom's 5 attacks, 4 of these attacks happened in 2019, and only 1 attack has happened this year. In all, INEC needs to understand the regional implications of these numbers in front of us. What are the regional implications of these 41 attacks? First, the Northeast has seen 3 attacks. In the North Central, there has been no attack on an INEC office in the North Central. What about the Northwest? The Northwest has seen only 1 attack. What do I mean? Out of all of these 41 attacks, only 4 attacks have happened across Nigeria's 3 northern regions. Majority of these attacks have happened in the Southeast, in the South-South, and in the Southwest. And in the final analysis, it is important that all Nigerian leaders and leaders also at INEC understand that sometimes what is in front, what we cannot see, is more important than what is in front of us. Tonight, I've shared a bit of what is in front of us and what we cannot see. Again, I repeat, sometimes what we cannot see is more important than what's in front of us.
Abajide, enough to think about tonight. Thanks again for joining us.
The pleasure is all mine.
On the News at 10. Still ahead on the News at 10, more governors, state governors that is, celebrate 2- and 6-year inaugurations, and Governor Wike says he has not endorsed any successor ahead of the 2023 polls. Stay with us. Welcome to the news. Welcome back to the News at 10. We continue with security. To ward off the series of attacks on its security personnel and facilities, the National Human Rights Commission, the NHRC, is asking the police to rejig its strategies and restore citizens' confidence. The commission, through a statement by its Executive Secretary, Mr. Tony Ojukwu, in commemoration of the 2021 National Day of Mourning and Remembrance of Victims of Mass Atrocities, also asked the force to fish out those fueling insecurity through ethnic and religious biases. The group also wants governments at all levels to uphold their primary responsibility of provision of security and welfare of the citizenry, and for all perpetrators of deadly attacks to be brought to justice. Over 90 bodies have been recovered from River Niger after an overloaded boat carrying over 150 passengers capsized on Wara in Ngaski local government area of Kebbi State. Governor Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi State made this known when the Sokoto State Governor Aminu Tambuwal paid him a condolence visit in burning Kebbi, the state capital. Governor Bagudu, who expressed sadness over the incident, says the exact number of passengers on board are still unknown. But he said the survivors say over 150 passengers were on board for a boat designed to carry just 60 passengers. And in Rivers State, Governor Nyesom Wike has restated his commitment to providing quality service to the people of the state despite being a second-term governor. He says while many governors failed to provide good leadership in their second tenure, his administration is doing otherwise. He says not even the preparations for the 2023 elections can distract him from his goals. Exactly 2 years into his second tenure, Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike attends a special Thanksgiving service organized by the state government. He is accompanied by family members, current and past political leaders, PDP faithful, and traditional rulers, as songs are rendered in praises to God and prayers offered for more success.
No man, no woman can do it, only you.
It is part of the 5-week activities to mark what the state government describes as monumental achievements of a governor popularly referred to as Mr. Project. In his sermon, the priest emphasizes the need for people to recognize God's providence in their lives.
If you have not been able to ascribe glory to God and sit down and recount how vulnerable you are, that if not for God, you will not be where you are today. All the achievements we are talking about, all the things that have been done in Rivers State, all the roads, the hospitals, the schools, the projects, everything going on, all to the glory of God. If not for him, it would have not been possible.
Whichever position we find ourselves.
For Governor Wike, the Thanksgiving is not just about a political success, but preservation of life.
For us, service is all that is important to us. That nothing God has not done for us in life. And what we owe is to continue to serve the people and serve God. That is all. I'm happy that I have satisfied my conscience and to the best of my ability. So if anybody is thinking that because somebody is coming to my house, you are going to plot against the person, if God said the person will be governor, there's nothing you can do. And I've not promised anybody because there's nothing to promise.
To God be the glory, to Jesus.
From here, the days ahead, Governor Wike will continue with the inauguration and the flag-off of projects across the 23 local government areas of the state. As you may have already guessed, governors of Nigerian states are reaching milestones in the number of years they have spent in office, with the corresponding inauguration anniversaries to note the impact of their service or the direction of their administration. The governors of Gombe, Bauchi, and Enugu states commissioned and flagged off projects while they stated their commitment to good governance.
We pray that the divine peace come down in this country and
This isn't a political rally at the Pantami Stadium in Gombe State. It's a massive show of support for the governor, Inuwa Yahaya, as he marks 2 years in office. He's spending the day with all these people, as well as flagging off the construction of a road project and a primary school.
Our administration has taken bold steps to address the pressing developmental challenges facing our dear state. We pursued an all-inclusive, needs-driven development approach which enables us to make significant progress in our quest to improve the health delivery system, basic education, environmental sustainability, rural development, urban renewal, and institutional reforms, while ensuring the security and safety of lives and property of our people.
First Lady
The celebration is no less boisterous in Bauchi State, albeit more sedate, at table with 1,000 orphans for Governor Bala Mohammed, who insists that he counts the care of the vulnerable in society and orphans as a priority of his administration, as he also marks 2 years in office.
Today we need a solemn assessment of ourselves so that we will know from where we are coming and where we are going. This kind of retrospection, of introspection, will give us the kind of roadmap that we need. We want to assure the people of Bauchi that we are very grateful and that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala who gave us this responsibility, we are not going to take it for granted.
1 dancer, 2 dancers, 3 dancers, 4. Just a part of the cultural showpiece to mark 6 years in office of Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, who is commissioning a state leisure center called the Unity Park, meant to attract tourists to the state and create jobs.
We're glad we've offered the good people of Enugu State an opportunity to relive the past when the city urbanization had not been obligated for recreational areas. Administration will ensure that measures are in place to guarantee adequate maintenance and cleanliness of the park as well as security of the park visitors.
The task is far from over for the governors as they signpost certain years in office. The people's expectations remain high of optimal performance on their part when they cross the finish line.
The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has arrested 10 suspected online drug traffickers with 107 kilograms of cocaine in Abuja. NDLEA spokesman Femi Babafemi says the arrest followed fresh raids in the nation's capital, where a young lady, her boyfriend, as well as 8 others were caught with assorted drugs. The first suspect, 28-year-old S.A. Patrick, said to be selling her illicit substances through an Instagram account, was tracked and arrested with some pieces of brownies ordered online by NDLEA's undercover agents. In another arrest, a motorcycle belonging to a courier company, Skyport, was abandoned by a dispatch rider in Wuse Zone 4 upon sighting NDLEA's outpost in the area. According to the NDLEA spokesman, the motorcycle was later found to contain several pinches of cocaine and some envelopes of Arizona meant for delivery. One of the biggest automobile spare part markets in Lagos, Ladipo International Market, has been gutted by fire. The fire started from one of the shops at 35 to 38 Olapaju Street and spread to other sections of the market. The cause of the fire is still unknown as firefighters battled to contain the spread of the inferno for several hours. Eyewitnesses say no fewer than 50 shops were affected, while goods worth millions of naira were also destroyed. The proliferation of points of sale, otherwise known as POS, especially in areas with no physical presence of banks, has had residents heaving a sigh of relief. However, there are at least 2 sides of the story, as captured in this report.
Layode Aleke is a rural community in the Ikorodu area of Lagos. Life here can hardly be likened to the hustle and bustle of the commercial city, yet this is part of Lagos. One of the characteristics of the area is the non-existence of banks. Osato Oziegbe, coordinator of the tutorial center in the area, says this is the situation even in the surrounding Imota and Sabo. The nearest bank is at Ikorodu Garage, which is about an hour trip away. However, the introduction of points of sale seemed to have reduced the burden.
Those that are selling pepper, all those traders or artisans, so many of them, they don't have the knowledge or what it takes in order to open a bank account. So what they do is that they go to this POS owner. Once they get there, they get their account number and they give it to the person that wants to send money to them. And through that process, the person can help them to send it to that account and they will go back to the POS and get the money.
But these services come at a cost, which some residents say have affected their businesses.
On pa business lára o.
torí irú èmi kan yóò ti ṣẹlẹ̀ sí mi rí tí mo lọ gba owó táìmù tí mo ní ìdí ẹ̀ owó yẹn ọ̀rá táìmù gbà yẹn ìgbà tówó yẹn máa jáde bí POS tí mo ti gbowó lówó yẹn padà jáde sí kì í sì ṣètò sí ibi tí mo ti rajà.
It is a source of livelihood for individuals like Ikire Victoria, one of the POS operators in the area. But as a business person, she also counts the cost. She travels about an hour to get to the bank for cash, and each trip costs her about 2,000 naira. But she says those are the minor challenges.
Some you will transfer money, they say they didn't see it. And the company has debited you, they have removed the money from your wallet. And the customer you paid the money to say they did not. The customer will come back, I need my money, this, that.
They run out of money, they have to travel to a bank to get...
Dr. Ajayi believes that with the limitation in the reach of technology and spread of communication carriers, constraints will persist. However, there are immediate steps to handle some of these challenges.
I think has to do with the need for principals to be more deliberate in the way they recruit agents. So if you could recruit agents who can add agency banking to whatever it is they're already doing, maybe it's the village store, or so that it's easier for those persons to, use the economic activity they're already covering to extend agency banking services.
With the deepening of financial inclusion comes empowerment of home stores and micro businesses in rural areas. This will in turn boost their chances to participate in the financial chain and spread the economic impact.
The affairs of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, will now be managed by new sets of leaders as follows the election of new executive members of the association today. Its immediate past vice president, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeke, has been elected as the new national president of the union. Professor Oshodeke takes over from Professor Biodun Oguyemi, who had managed the association for 2 terms of 2 years each. And now to the arts. Timeless is a solo exhibition of collage paintings and other works of art created by contemporary artist Sylvester Aguda at the Freedom Park in Lagos. The exhibition features over 25 images to inspire the country that despite the security, health and economic challenges, all hope is not lost.
Some might think that this procedure will dampen the mood, but it's the new normal. Everyone has to be safe to appreciate the art. Walk into the hall and bright colors greet you. It is the exhibition of works done by Sylvester Aguda, which he has tagged The Times at the Freedom Park. It's about sharing African stories in bright collage and mixed media medium.
In the past 5 months or 6, the whole world has been battling a pandemic. So the Times we put this together just to show people that even with the lockdown, we were still productive. We're still, having getting inspiration or getting inspired to bring out works. So now with the ease of the lockdown and the world is gradually, coming out again, we decided to throw an exhibition to show people what has been on or has been going on since the lockdown.
This exhibition was put together showing that even in the midst of a challenging situation, one can still be creative. The works were put together to put a smile on the faces of the audience rather than dampen the spirit of an art lover.
Why I decided to do this exhibition is, when you dwell on the negative too much, it kind of affects you psychologically. And talking about myself as an artist, it was very difficult for me to put up anything while the first 3 months normally in the year I would have had like 2-3 exhibitions, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do anything because of the COVID. Mentally I was drained, I was psychologically depressed. But one of the things that has worked for me has been the gift of this art. It became like a therapy, it became like medicine for me. So, the times today is just to share with my friends that, yes, in spite of all the downtime, there's still a good side, and which is the fact that we are alive. And for those that are mourning, those that have lost one loved one or the other, I just want to pull out my friends to come here and see something that will make them happy and something that will encourage them and motivate them.
One thing is certain. Sylvester has been able to get all present to see the different sides of the times that we live in, using his art as a therapy to encourage everyone that all will be well.
President Muhammadu Buhari and other ECOWAS leaders have been engrossed in deep discussions regarding the regional body's response to the latest coup in Mali. Before he left for Mali, President Buhari had met with a special envoy and ECOWAS mediator in Mali, former President Goodluck Jonathan, who briefed him on the latest developments in the country after meeting with key political actors in Mali. The revolt by now interim leader Colonel Assimi Goïta has prompted sanctions, warnings from foreign powers, which fear it will derail a promised transition back to democracy. ECOWAS had closed borders with landlocked Mali and halted financial transactions in response to last year's coup. Military leader Colonel Goïta is attending the meeting.
The recent happenings in Mali have again raised anxiety levels in the region and have somewhat shaken the hope many had of a peaceful, successful transition, which will result in the return to a democratic government in Mali and ultimately and hopefully the political stability of the country. The ECOWAS delegation held consultations with Colonel Assimi Goïta, Vice President of the transition government, on the situation at hand, to consider the most appropriate exit strategy to the crisis.
President Nana Akufo-Addo of Ghana. Israel's far-right party leader Naftali Bennett has thrown his support behind a unity government in Israel to unseat the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, ending his run as Israel's longest-serving Prime Minister. Bennett's decision, announced in a televised address, could enable opposition chief Yair Lapid to put together a coalition of right-wing centrists and leftist parties and hand Netanyahu his first election defeat since 1999. Under a prospective power-sharing deal, Bennett would replace the 71-year-old Netanyahu, head of the Likud party, as prime minister, and later give way to centrist Lapid in a rotation agreement. Netanyahu has accused Bennett of perpetrating what he calls the fraud of the century. COVID-19 restrictions have been lifted in Germany, allowing many to enjoy the outdoors this Sunday as summer begins. Meanwhile, in England, authorities say decision on lifting lockdown will be driven by data. Here's a global update. The UK's Vaccines Minister, Nadhim Zahawi, says decision to lift lockdown measures in England on June 21st will be made after data on infection, hospitalisation, vaccination and new variants are assessed.
We have to be cautious. We have to look at the data and share it with the country. Are we still vaccinating at scale? Big tick. Are the vaccines working? Yes. Okay. But are infection rates too high for us to then not be able to proceed because there are too many people going into hospital? I don't know the answer to that yet, but we will know it on the hopefully on the 14th. A few more weeks. Okay. Steady as she goes, and we'll get there.
COVID restrictions have been eased in stages in England, Wales and Northern Ireland as infection levels, hospitalizations and deaths fall. In brilliant sunshine and warm weather, many Germans took the time to drink with company outdoors, take a bike or cruise, something they've not done in a long time. On Wednesday, May 26th, Berlin allowed open-air cinemas to reopen, as well as outdoor performances for theatres and opera houses, with up to 250 people allowed in the audience. The country eased restrictions on those fully vaccinated or recovered from the virus on May 9th, lifting curfews and quarantine rules, as well as the obligation to provide a negative test result to visit a hairdresser, zoo, or to go shopping. South Korea says it's expecting 1 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine in early June, including for 550,000 after the United States almost doubled its earlier pledge. During the first summit, U.S. President Joe Biden had promised his South Korean counterpart Moon Jae-in to supply shots for 550,000 soldiers after the United States almost doubled its earlier pledge. Finally, in India, the COVID-19 tally has risen to over 27.8 million, with 165,553 new cases added during the past 24 hours. Hopefully, a steep and daily pandemic cases has been witnessed in the past 3 weeks, as new cases per day have come under from over 400,000 recorded on May 9th. In sports news, Akwa United have reclaimed the top spot in the Nigeria Professional Football League following a 2-1 win against Kwara United on the Nest of Champions in Uyo. Goals from Ubong Friday and Nasir Jibril handed the Promise Keepers the needed win earlier today as they moved top on 45 points from 24 league games. They're closely trailed by Kano Pillars, who played a goalless draw against Plateau United in Jos. Pillars now have 45 points, although Akwa United enjoys superior goals difference. MFMFC have extended their unbeaten run to 4 matches as the Lagos-based team defeated Dakada FC by a lone goal. Lobby Stars defeated Sunshine Stars 2-1. Katsina United beat Warri Wolves by a lone goal. Tennis now. World number 2 Naomi Osaka has had to dig deep to defeat Romanian Patricia Maria Tig 6-4, 7-6 as a 4-time Grand Slam winner began her French Open campaign on opening day earlier today, hoping to improve on her record at the clay court major. Osaka has not made it past the third round at her previous appearances at Roland Garros and arrived in Paris with only 3 matches under her belt on clay after early defeats in Madrid and Rome. But the Japanese 4-time major winner showed no signs of being distracted on her sun-bathed Philippe Chatrier court by the lively debate after her announcement that she would not hold news conferences at the French Open for mental health reasons. Success. Meanwhile, 4th seed Dominic Thiem blew a 2-set lead and slipped to a very tough first-round loss at the French Open against Spanish veteran Pablo Andujar earlier today. A 35-year-old Andujar staged a remarkable comeback to defeat the 2-time Roland Garros runner-up 4-6, 5-7, 6-3, 6-4, 6-4 after almost 4.5 hours on court. Philippe Chatrier. It is Thiem's first opening round exit at Roland Garros and the first time he's failed to reach at least the quarterfinals of the tournament since 2015. And the main news again. Armed bandits today abducted many students from an Islamia school in Rafi, local government area of Niger State. Authorities are yet to confirm the number of those abducted by the gunmen. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night.